Hey, it's Tim with the University of Vinyl. Thanks for tuning in again today. I want to talk about, the end of summer, moving into fall. I think the first day of fall officially is September 22nd. You wouldn't know that if you go to the grocery store. You've got the pumpkin spice, everything available on around the 4th of July these days. It's crazy. But September 22nd is just around the corner. I am filming this on September 18th. I'm probably going to put this out tomorrow. And I've had a very fruitful summer of digging, and I've actually also been prompted to actually hit the button on Discogs in a couple of instances. I'll talk about why I did that and the records that I was looking for and the records that I acquired. There's been a lot of chatter in the vinyl community about people being burned out, and is record collecting in 2024 still as fun as it used to be 5 years ago? So for sure, me personally, I have slowed down. I am trying to dig into my collection, taking a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break, although what I'm about to show you might belie that. But I will tell you, I can count on one hand the amount of reissues, remastered reissues, audiophile pressings that I have purchased so far, all the way up to here we are, the end of September. I've definitely slowed down on that front. I'm being very, very, very selective. I am now at the point where I'm looking for Santa Maria and Monarch pressings and Quiax pressings in the hopes of finding some upgrades and swapping out with play copies that I currently have. That's the kind of minutiae that any record collector should enjoy going down that road. And there's been some great videos about this whole kind of burnout syndrome. I really enjoyed Dylan's recent video talking about, so-called record burnout in 2024. Dylan from Noble Records. I don't think I have to tell anybody who Dylan is. And then I just watched this morning Dom from Seeking a Thread. He's got a really thoughtful video, and he is of the similar mindset that I am. I am still thrilled to be collecting records in 2024, but I am being very selective, and that's where I am. So thought I would just give a little shout out to those two videos. I'm actually going to link to both of those. And without further ado, I want to show you records that have come into my collection since around June 15th up until maybe last week. So in June, I had to go to Ann Arbor for a few days, and this was a fantastic find. This is one of the only Curtis records that I didn't have. I'm still looking for a clean original of Curtis, by the way. On the Curtum label, this is a fantastic listen. And I just love the patina I have on the cover, which is a textured cover. Don't know if we're going to pick that up here. But it's also missing. I think there was a trifold that's been taken off of this. But the record's in near mint condition. I think I picked this up for like $21 in Ann Arbor at a very good shop. Some of these records I may have already mentioned in previous videos, but there are several that I haven't. But anyway, awesome find in Ann Arbor, Michigan back in June. 2 weeks ago, I was at one of my favorite record shops. That is Driver 8 Records in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I picked up the final Smith's full album, Strange Ways, Here We Come. This is a, where is it? Gold stamped promo. Really, really great condition. A lot of people will say, yeah, they're kind of past their prime at this point of this album. I think Johnny Marr is on record as saying this is his favorite Smith's release. I love it. I mean, Girlfriend in a Coma and Stop Me If You Think You've Heard This Before. This is a really, really great listen. and it's super clean. Great pickup from Driver 8 Records about 2 weeks ago here in Fort Collins. So earlier this summer, I make a point to stop in to, it's a sister store of half-price books, which you'll find in the Midwest. Out here in Colorado, it is called Second and Charles. They have tons of used books and you name it, toys, and a pretty sizable vinyl collection here in Fort Collins. And I don't know how they do it, but they will occasionally take in stuff and have no idea what it is or how to price it. And this was a situation. I've got a first press Blue Note, Herbie Hancock, The Prisoner, his last title on Blue Note, I believe. This is a kind of a political statement record. Really, really fine listen. Van Gelder and the Dead Wax. This was priced at $8, near mint condition. The record looks like it's never been played. So, of course, I snapped that up. I think I was so happy with this find that I put it on Instagram that day. If you're not following me on Instagram, I welcome you to please do that. So check me out on Instagram. I will occasionally leave a hint as to what maybe an upcoming video is going to be focused on. But anyway, The Prisoner, Herbie Hancock. In the middle of July, my wife and I made the trek to Las Vegas. We wanted to see Dead & Company at the Spear. I did a whole video on that trip, and several people mentioned that I was pronouncing the Spear wrong. Spear, anyway. I managed to find 1 hour of extra time during that whirlwind trip. I went to a shop that has a mixed reputation. First of all, you should be aware that before you go, or if you're considering going to Wax Trax in Las Vegas, nothing is priced. You have to negotiate everything with the owner. Believe me, you can be successful there, and it's worth going just to see the breadth and scope of inventory that these people have there. It's unbelievable. There is a small bedroom. This is an old house. There's a small bedroom in the lower floor of this place that is dedicated to jazz, and there are multiple copies of original Blue Notes on several different iterations of labels and companies. It's just amazing. One of the things I picked up was an original of this Herbie Hancock record, Inventions and Dimensions, Van Gelder in the Dead Wax on this one. Great record, and super pleased to find that. Another record I picked up at Wax Trax in Las Vegas, something I have been looking for a very long time. I didn't want to kind of pay the freight to buy one in the UK and have it shipped over. I wasn't finding great prices anyway. So I found an original pressing, UK, London Calling, maybe my favorite Clash record, probably. There you can see that original label. This was in, I would say, VG Plus condition, and managed to negotiate a decent price for this. So it went home with me. So I can scratch this off the hunting list, an original UK of London Calling. One more record at Wax Trax I'll talk about. This is a pretty common record, and usually you will find the Sterling cut with TJ in the Dead Wax. That's Ted Jensen. A pretty good sounding record. Until you hear the master disc RL Robert Ludwig cut. I think the story is that Phil Ramone for whatever reason, wanted to have a recut done of this record. He went to Robert Ludwig, who he had kind of shepherded in the beginning days of engineering. And so he's a former colleague of Ludwig. That's not to say there's anything wrong with Ted Jensen as a mastering engineer. I have featured him in a previous video. And that Ted Jensen Sterling cut is a fine cut. I don't know what happened here, but Ludwig just managed to squeeze out a little bit more from the tapes. There is a little more bottom end. There's a little more decay and sustain in Billy Joel's piano playing, which is, of course, fantastic. I would say especially really prevalent on Just the Way You Are. And there are other things that you can kind of hear closer into the recording with this pressing. So this is definitely now my go-to for this record. I also have the CBS Master Sounds cut, and I think the Ludwig comes out ahead of those three different choices, the RL, the Sterling, and the CBS Master Sounds. So there you have it. That is The Stranger. Look for a Master Disc RL cut if you can find one. They are not easy to find. I've got another find here locally at Driver 8 Records. This is one of my favorite and one of the most criminally underrated albums out there from Paul Simon, Hearts and Bones. If you know the story of this record, it's pretty interesting. There's a long backstory involving Art Garfunkel. Paul recorded this album and wanted to have Art come in and provide background vocals, different accompanying vocal parts to several of these songs. You can find versions of those on YouTube. And, these guys were in the midst of a reunion tour. This record came out finally in 1983, but it had been in kind of the gestation period, and Paul Simon was waiting for Art Garfunkel to finish his tracks, and these guys had another falling out, and at that point, Simon said, screw it, we're just going to put it out as I had intended. We're not going to include Garfunkel. So there you have it. But there is just some incredible tunes on here. Think Too Much. Song About the Moon is a breathtaking track. Train in the Distance, and Renee and Georgette Magritte with their dog after the war. He performed a really cool version of that on one of the later Letterman shows that I'm pretty sure is out there on YouTube as well. Anyway, Paul Simon, and importantly, it's a QuiX2 pressing. You probably know that I am trying to amass all of the actual labeled QuiX2 pressings. It's a little personal goal of mine. Something also you should have if you are into record collecting. Make some goals, make some hit list, and try and achieve them. So anyway, Hearts and Bones, a QuiX2 pressing, is an amazing sounding recording. Back in July, here locally, we have a record collecting group. It's on Facebook. It's called The Vinyl Herd. They welcome members from wherever you happen to be. Herd, H-E-A-R-D. And there's two guys, Nicholas and Lance, and these guys will occasionally spin records at local venues here locally. And back in mid-July, they will also set up and sell records at these little events that they sponsor. And anyway, I was really pleased to find the 2005 Body of Song. This is kind of an oddball in Bob Mould's catalog. Back in 2005, the early 2000s, he was heavily into being a DJ. He was getting into electronica music, and had kind of left behind the alternative rock scene. This record, he started to come back in, and it's kind of a blend between electronica stuff and then moving more into the singer-songwriter stuff that he's known for. There's actually a song here that dates back to the Workbook Sessions, Beating Heart the Prize. You know, famously, there's a song on here, "I Am Vision, I Am Sound," that had the auto tune on it. You've got that kind of Cher vocal effect, which is not aging all that well. This is a gatefold. I've never seen this record out in the wild, and it wasn't very expensive, but I am trying to be a completionist on Bob Mould, Sugar, Husker Du, and was really pleased to find this. So you would think this next record is really common. I find and see all of Phil Collins's solo records frequently here in Colorado, but I have never seen But Seriously. This is one of the best Phil Collins solo records in my opinion. You know, he had several people guesting on this record and really making really cool contributions. David Crosby, Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, Stephen Bishop. Some of the standouts on here: Another Day in Paradise, All of My Life is a great song, Do You Remember, I Wish It Would Burn Down, Find a Way to My Heart. A great sounding record. It is a DMM cut master disc. I think it's a Robert Ludwig as well, but never see this, and was super pleased when I stumbled across this here in northern Colorado. Another pickup at Driver 8 Records in Fort Collins, a promo pressing, the very first and early pressing of the debut Van Halen record, Near Mint Condition. This came from a radio station, and you know, the very early first pressings were the only pressings where the inner sleeve was black and white and not color that you'll find on all the other later pressings. I talked about this in another video. This beats the Chris Bellman cut in my opinion. I haven't heard the DCC cut, and I didn't buy the MoFi. I am good with this and super pleased to find this. I'm really lucky to have several good record shops within a half-an-hour drive of where I am. Another one is in Greeley, Colorado. It's called Downtown Sounds. I went to Downtown Sounds in late June, and lo and behold, I found a second pressing UK on that pink island label with the white eye. Unhalf bricking. This is an amazing record, of course, from Fairport Convention. I've talked about this one in the past. I love this iconic cover. These are Sandy Denny's parents, and the band is sitting here in the courtyard of, I believe this is a church. Yes, it is a church. You know, I've got the U.S. pressing, which had that stupid cover with an elephant on it, and it's an RL cut. The record sounds really, really good, but if I can find a near mint second pressing UK, of course, this is now my upgrade copy. So how does this happen? An iconic record like this that is super hard to find, a UK pressing sitting in a shop in Greeley, Colorado. That's why I love the thrill of the chase. And never ignore your local shops. You need to make an appearance occasionally, frequently, if you are on the hunt for certain things, because you never know what you're going to find. Back in May, I think it was the last weekend in May, I went to LA specifically to do some record shopping. I met up with Jim from Record Collector News and Rob from his channel, The Waxed. I'm sure you know those guys. If you watch my channel, you've probably come across both of those individuals. They're fantastic guys. They were perfect hosts. We spent a full day shopping around basically all over the valley, from Pasadena all the way down to Sherman Oaks. And there's a cool shop in Pasadena called Sibylline Records, and I found an original pressing of Neil Young's Sleeps with Angels with Crazy Horse. This was a subdued record. It is really, really nice. I'm sure it's going to be reissued, but it is spread across 2 records. I think it's a Chris Bellman cut. It's an original, and was super happy to see this on the wall that afternoon. In early July, my wife and I went to visit a friend in Boise, Idaho. There was a little bit of time to do some record shopping and picked up 1995's Mirror Ball. This, of course, is Neil Young with Pearl Jam. Incredibly hard to find. It was a wall record. If you see something on the wall at a shop, make an offer. Don't be afraid to negotiate. I was able to get a decent price on this. It's the first time I've ever seen this in the wild. And it's a great listen. It's a good pressing. Also spread across 2 records. There is the label. Great find. Had only, picked this thing up on CD the week it was released. I was living in Chicago. So really happy to add that. Okay, back here to Colorado. Another random visit to a local shop here in town. This one is called All Sales Vinyl, and looks to be a common record, right? The debut record from Dire Straits. Well, lo and behold, I took out the record, and sure enough, it is an original UK on the vertical label. Gorgeous label, by the way. And to be honest, after listening to this, I have the Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs pressing double 45. Honestly, there's more life, there's more presence with this, and it is a super dynamic recording on high quality British vinyl. This, of course, is my forever copy. And these are not expensive. You can see that they put their price tag on the inside. I don't know if you can see that or not, but $23. I do have a little bit of a seam split here that can be fixed easily. There's no price sticker scars on this gorgeous cover. And what a great recording. Super happy. In a similar vein, there is another shop here in Fort Collins called Bizarre Bazaar. And this was maybe end of July into August. I hit these places, weekly if I can. So I stumbled on this. This is, of course, Siren. And taking a little bit deeper look at this, I kind of saw that the cover was a little more flimsy than your standard American pressing. And lo and behold, there is that original custom label that came out on the original UK pressings. And man, oh man, does this sound great. Now, I have a George Piros reissue that came out in the late 1970s. And if you know the Piros cuts from the Roxy Music catalog, you know what I'm talking about. They're really, really good. Many of those Piros cuts, I think, sound better than the original UK pressings. Case in point would be the debut record. I think the George Piros reissue that came out in 77 or 78 will beat the UK and, of course, the original US pressing, which is not good. So anyway, there you have it. This was all of about $12. So I was shocked to find this in great condition, near mint on the record, and again, a great recording. Hey, this is something kind of timely and newsworthy. This is a record I picked up on the wall at a shop in Sherman Oaks back in late May, my trip over to visit with Rob and Jim. And it is Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking. This was a gold stamp promo. I think it was priced at $99, which is basically the going rate on Discogs these days. I picked this up. I've never seen this in the wild. Super happy to have this. And, kind of not shocked about what happened about a week ago now with these guys, and particularly with Perry Farrell. I'm not going to kind of editorialize on this, but you know, you read the reports of different concerts leading up to that event, and you knew something was up with Perry Farrell. Finally, I've got 2 more records to show. These are things that I have had on my want list for a very long time. And sometimes you just got to say, what the fuck? You've got to pull the trigger and order something on Discogs. And I wanted a UK pressing on 4AD of Last Splash, The Breeders. This is an amazing sounding record. And believe it or not, I took a chance on a seller in Croatia. But this guy had really good reviews. I shouldn't discriminate. You know, here I'm a white male American sitting in my cushy environment, you know, worried about ordering from someone in Croatia. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Croatia. I should probably edit all of this out. Anyway, very, very pleased. This thing arrived in perfect condition, expertly packed. I gave him a 5-star review. He has several other 5-star reviews. Reasonable shipping price. So there you have it. Happy to add this to collection. Last but not least, this is not easy to find, and I have a reissue that in my mind is kind of flat. It doesn't have a lot of dynamic range in it. After hearing another record on 4AD, this of course is Heaven or Las Vegas, Cocteau Twins. Many people say it's their best record. It's up there for me. But I went to Discogs and purchased this from another person, another seller in the UK. Great reviews, and this thing arrived safe and sound, reasonable pricing on the shipping, and you know, surprisingly fast. It came to me within about a week. There you have it. Cocteau Twins, near and dear to my heart. Had to have an original UK of that pressing. I have several of their other albums on UK vinyl. I think that is the best way to hear those records. It's been a great summer. I am looking forward to fall. I am still all in on record collecting. I hope you are too. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, this content that I'm throwing out. I really appreciate all the views. I think this video maybe dragged on a little long, so apologies for that. But thanks for watching, and happy fall.